The 820th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog just launched their new ladders game where you can win up to 500 times your entry. Plus, when you use promo code MMA SGPN, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And we're also brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet and use promo code SGPN to get a $25 matching deposit bonus.
Heidi ho, DeGenerinos. Welcome to episode 820 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to the MMA upside, who went on a commenting spree in our YouTube channel. One of the comments reports that he's 6'1" and 155 to 160 pounds. So yeah, he's a scarecrow. He should be the dark scarecrow. That is one of our viewers as well. So this goes out to the MMA upside. He does train Muay Thai though. So
and he's a big Atlanta Braves fan. So
that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he likes my jokes. Good guy all around. This goes out to MMA upside. You should eat some food though, for real. You should weigh 100
we both
pounds.
got it. Yeah, we both got him outweighed by a little bit.
A little bit. Who am I? And who is that other voice you heard? What's my name again? Little Campster. Yeah, Little Campster, Jeff Fox. That would be Daniel Gumby Vreeland, always Gumby. And we are here to report that the UFC has a pay-per-view this weekend. And it's in Montreal for the first time since how long has it been? I think it's had it written somewhere, Gumby. It's been a real long time. Ever since that GSP guy went away, the UFC doesn't exist in Montreal. But they're getting a card this weekend. And the UFC sneaking some actual French people on it to try to trick the French Canadians into thinking that they're from Quebec. Really, they're from France. I don't know if French Canadians and actual French people, I don't know if they actually like each other or not. I don't think French Canadians like most people. So I don't know if that ploy is going to work at all or not.
Just on a mission to piss at everybody right off the bat here.
Pretty much. We're an English language podcast, so all the French people aren't watching for sure. It's been over a decade. I see an article I wrote. It was 2015 last time that they actually were in Montreal. Oh, wow. So it used to be like one of their major markets.
And then I think Toronto started taking off a little bit, and then obviously it was harder to cross the border during the pandemic and stuff, and that made trips to Canada a little bit more sparse. And then they opened the Apex, and that's fun too. We're going back there next week. Yeah. You want to talk about going back to the Apex?
What's the main event next week?
It's actually not Marlon Moraes, right. the much better Moraes. Michael Morales versus Gilbert Burns. So that's a sick fight. And there's some other fighters who I really like on that card, including one I interviewed right before we went on air.
Oh, well, there you go. There's a tease for you. But this week is all about UFC 315. We got old Crooked Nose versus all Lazy Eye.
I was going to say just Bilal.
Was Bilal's eyes like that before he got that eye injury? Because one of his eyes are kind of off, it seems. But I won't tell that to his face.
Before Leon Edwards poked him. Yeah. Did you hear he got in a little fight with Kamaru Usman?
Really?
Like a real altercation. He was on Kamaru Usman's podcast, and they were gonna throw down with one another. And then Bilal. Yeah, Bilal. Apparently it was more Kamaru coming at Bilal. But they were talking about being champion, and he's like, "Yeah, it's good. Everybody's coming after me." And Kamaru was couldn't take that he wasn't the top guy anymore, and kept being like, "No, they're still coming after me." And he was like, "You've lost three in a row." And then apparently he said something about "You don't do anything better than me." To Bilal,
except walk.
And then Bilal was like, Bilal said, "I take a head kick better than you."
Oh, nice. I would, you can lip off to Kamaru Usman because a brisk walk can get yourself into the safety zone. He can't move. So
he's about to fight Joaquin Buckley, which seems
sacrifice to Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, it seems like they're ready to build Buckley up, huh?
Exactly. This is we seem to be avoiding talk about, but it's a pretty good card.
I like this card. I like this card quite a bit.
Today's all about the prelims. Anything on the prelims excite you, or actually, let's rephrase that. What excites you the most about the prelims?
A couple of
a fighter, a matchup.
Real young prospects being tested. I like when we've got somebody who's about to take a step forward and they give them like an actual legitimate step forward. Like, Jasudavicius versus Andrade is a really good example of that, right? Like, Jasudavicius is like right on the edge of being like the face of, Canadian MMA, or at least in female form, face of Canadian MMA. And it's like, okay, it's time for her to fight somebody. And like to a lesser extent too, you could say that about like some of the, like Navajo Stirling got a little bit of a step up here because he's been fighting guys who are pretty much destined to get knocked out by him. So he's getting a little bit of a tougher test. And, getting a real test is Bekzat Almakhan, who, previously only fought Umar Nurmagomedov on 5 days notice. So like, I like seeing people in the right realm and getting those steps forward.
Yeah. Actual fights that matter, non-UFC Apex fights. UFC Apex fights just are kind of there. These are fights that actually matter. So, Jasmine will she'll have to put on a good performance here because Jillian Robertson is charging after the mantle as a top UFC.
And you've got another Canadian on the main card that we'll talk about tomorrow that could be pretty quickly the highest ranked Canadian in the UFC.
We shall talk about that shortly. Actually, we should probably get jumping into it right away after. Oh, you must be talking about the short notice guy stepped in, but we'll talk about it.
No, not Kyle.
All right, before we dive into actually the picks, just a reminder: if you've not already, make sure you check out all the free picks and our podcast in our convenient app. Download the SGPN app in your app store today and enjoy the goodness. All right, as I've been dancing around. Off the top, we're going to Montreal. Center Bell, UFC 315, Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, May the 10th. 12 bouts. We are covering the prelims as per usual today, early and normal prelims. And then tomorrow will be the 5-card main pay-per-view portion of the card, and then all our the NC play. 6:30 p.m. is the start time for the first fights we're covering, ESPN Plus. We're kicking things off with the Canadian, I guess. An Irish Canadian at this point. Brad Katona. He's opening things up. Curtain jerker fight in the bantamweight fight against Bekzat Almakhan, the aforementioned. He is from Kazakhstan. They are fighting 3 5-minute rounds if necessary. If Brad Katona's involved, it more than likely will go 15 minutes. Well, if he's going to win, I guess. Let's break her down. With Katona first, he's Superman. 14-4. 1 knockout, 3 submissions. So he's finished 4 people. Bravo. Never been finished himself. 4-4 in the UFC over 2 stints. Loss over his last 3. 6-2 over his last 8. He went 4-0 on the Ultimate Fighter, and he was the only 2-time champion of the show. He should just pretty much do every season of Tough. I think that's his realm. That's his wheelhouse right there. Just stick to Tough. Was a regional champ as well. He used to fight at 145 and 155. 2014 Pro MMA debut. These stats are a little skewed because Almakhan has fought once, and that was short notice against Nurmagomedov. But Katona's got better striking stats, and he's 24 times more active landing strikes than Almakhan. Because Almakhan landed that one big strike, and that was pretty much it. Katona's got better grappling stats, but these are pretty much you can throw these out at this point because Almakhan barely fought. Katona has outstruck his opponents by 0.11 strikes per minute. He's at plus 142. The Turin Warrior versus Superman. The Turin Warrior is 11-2, 9 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been submitted once. 0-1 in the UFC. He lost to a Nurmagomedov. He 8-1 over his last 9. He did lose the last bout, as mentioned. That was back in March of 2024. He's fight at 145. He's got an inch of height over Katona, 4 inches of reach, 6 years younger. He was outstruck by 4.33 strikes per minute in that fight, and he's at minus 165.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bekzat Almakhan. I think for me, the hands are just the difference here, and we saw a little bit of it in the Umar fight. Right? Like he dropped Umar. It's worth noting he dropped Umar. And it was like a decent.
He grazed him too. It wasn't like a full on blow. And
if you watch all of his other fights too, like how much power he's got, right? Like he's got 9 KO victories on his resume, and it's like he's thunderous with his shots. Big hooks. Kicks to the body, really nice head kick knockout. He's got on there, like I want to say it was 2 fights ago or 2 fights before he came to the UFC, just like a thunderous head kick to start the second round. Left the guy flat. He somehow followed up with 10 shots because the Russian ref took like 6 hours to get over there. It was like really, really brutal stuff. So like for me, I think Bekzat Almakhan is just going to outclass him on the feet. And then too, like Brad Katona has been a guy who's wrestled a little bit, right? And like maybe that's what people are deeming his path to victory. But like, have you seen Almakhan wrestle? Like the guy's got really good body lock takedowns. It's a lot of like Greco-Roman style stuff, but like anytime he gets on that body lock, there's trips. He just he does a really nice step back into a takedown there. So I'm gonna go with Bekzat Almakhan. I think he can beat him every single way in the cage there.
Yeah, Katona, the lack of finishing power is the real issue here, because you don't want to stick around too long with Almakhan, especially if it is on the feet. So Almakhan's going to have a real good shot at knocking him out, for sure. Plus, he's got the reach advantage here. But can he keep on the feet? He has struggled with wrestlers before. Not like Katona's the greatest wrestler, but he tends to.
But he struggled with Umar
per fight.
He struggled with Umar.
No, in other regional belts, he's lost. He's been taken down as well, which is
but it's been a while since he's lost, right?
Yeah.
I think I think you're right. Katona, I just don't think is the level of wrestler that can get him down.
Yep. And Almakhan's just too dangerous. So Almakhan is my pick as well here. If Katona had a bit more finishing power, then I was considering him to begin with. But yeah, it's the fact that he has to point fight basically to win fights, and that's going to be dangerous in this situation. All right, we're going up a weight class. We're going to featherweights. Daniel Santos, Brazil. Jeong-yeong Lee. Sorry, Jong. I'm butchering it.
Jong's going to give it to you, man.
South Korea. It's an easy name. I've said a bunch of times too. 145. Let's break it down with Santos. Willie Cat, 11-2, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 2-1 in the UFC. He's taking this fight on short notice. He's won 2 straight and 4 of 5. He's not fought since June of 2023. He's not lost since April 2022. He used to fight down a weight class, 125, up a weight class, 145. 2013 Pro MMA debut. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 0.86 strikes per minute. He's more active landing strikes though than Lee, plus 120. The Korean Tiger versus Willie Cat. These names are the nicknames are actually pairing up pretty good. Superman versus Turin Warrior. The Korean Tiger versus Willie Cat. I like it. Power bar next. You just wait. All right, Lee, 11-2, 4 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. So he's durable. 2-1 in the UFC, 8-1 over his last 9. TKO loss in his last bout. He went 2-0 on the road to the UFC and won the championship. He's a regional champion. He has been fighting since 2014 in pro MMA. 3 inches height, 6 inches reach over Santos. Better striking stats, better grappling stats. He's outstruck his opponents, but just barely in the UFC and the road to by plus 0.03, minus 118. I'm sad this number has gone the Lee side. It was pretty, it depends what book you're looking at. He was the dog for a little bit there, but I'm taking Lee regardless. Santos has a couple things working against him. Well, multiple things working against him. He's been out of the cage for almost 2 years. He's taking this fight on short notice. So they're the out of cage issues. And then I think Lee's going to be the better striker, and he's got a half a foot of reach advantage to take advantage of that over. So give me Lee. I like him here. I still like the number. I preferred it when it was a plus, but I'll take him at minus 118.
So I don't think he's a better striker. I'm going to lead with that. I am going to go with Jeong-yeong Lee, but that is my concern about Willie Cat. It's like Willie Cat is explosive on the feet. Mm-hmm. You saw with that knee knockout he had a couple of fights ago. The reason I still like Lee is because I think his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling plays up here. We saw Willie Cat can wrestle a little bit offensively, but defensively he kind of struggles. And a lot of it is because he's so willing to throw spinning kicks and a spinning elbow and a jump knee and this and that. Like he's often off balance and ready to be taken down. And that's a real problem when you're fighting a guy who's got as good at jiu-jitsu as Jeong-yeong Lee. I think Lee can hold him down a little bit better than some of his past opponents can. He's also got a ton of arm bars. So even if Willie Cat winds up getting on the top game, I think he could get stuck here. So I like Jeong-yeong Lee. I will say it's not my most confident pick on this fight card because, Willie Cat's so erratic. But like you said, the 2 years off on a guy who sort of thrives on his timing and being crazy feels like a bigger issue that he doesn't have the preparation in the recent fights.
Hey, I don't care how he beats him. If he wants to grapple him and beat him, that's fine. As long as Lee wins. All right, we're both in on Lee, and we're also both in on Circa. Circa has the ultimate fantasy football giveaway going on right now. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for their stay. The winner will receive a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for their entire 12-person league, 6 double king rooms, hold their draft at a cabana at Stadium Swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit, limo transportation to and from the airport, a welcome party at Legacy Club for the league, a reservation at the world's largest sportsbook with $500 beverage credit for the league, a 2-hour open bar package for the league at Overhang Bar. Fantastic prize pack. Contest duration is from May the 5th until June the 30th. Here's how you enter. You go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. And Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN. Deposit $25 and EdgeBoost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And finally, it is time for Gumby's bonus underdog pick and play. Underdog just launched their new game, Ladders. Win up to 500 times watching your favorite players climb the ladder. All right, Gumby, you got to play for the people. Al Horford preferred.
No, I'm gonna stay with UFC. We got the UFC this weekend. I'm gonna take the lower than on Bekzat Almakhan's fight time. They've got it listed at 14.99 minutes, which means obviously they think it's gonna go the distance. That's the projection. But the lower than you can get at 1.6 times your play, which means nice. They're looking at the higher than. I like the lower than here.
Yeah, definitely. As do I. All right, so take that and sign up with their promo code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. So it's underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. All right. We are agreeing on everything, even the underdog pick today. All right. We are going to the main event of the prelims. Marc-André Barriault from Canada, Bruno Silva, the big Bruno Silva, not the little one, from Brazil, 3 5-minute rounds, Blindado versus Powerbar. So I guess that doesn't match up. Blindado means shark. It doesn't. No, tank, right?
Yeah, you're thinking about Turbao, which is
Turbao.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can't charge a tank with a power bar. I guess if it's like a.
Was it on this show that we discovered what a power bar was? Because I didn't know it was a. We called them power strips south of the border.
Yep.
And I originally thought it was talking about like a Cliff Bar, like it's
right.
That's what we call power bars.
Yep. We got those too. But yeah, I guess if Blindado was an electric tank, then yeah, power bar, that works. So we'll go with it. All right, we'll talk about Silva first. 23-12 with 20 knockouts. I believe I picked him to beat Alex Pereira. Did I not back in the day? I think
I don't know if you did or not.
He's been submitted 7 times. He's 4-6 in the UFC. He has lost 4 straight and only won 1 of 7. He's not won since April 2023. He's regional champ, 2010 pro MMA debut. He has been outstruck in the UFC by 1.43 strikes per minute, plus 124. I believe he beat your favorite fighter though before, did he not? I think he beat Jordan Williams, I think.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Gerald Mearshart, because
no,
he's like actually a favorite. No, didn't he beat Jordan Wright?
Jordan Wright, yes, that's right. Yeah. Right, yeah.
You might have beat Jordan Williams too.
Yeah, Jordan Wright, yes, the Beverly Hills Ninja. Yeah, Jordan Williams used to be the one that you would talk about. Like,
yeah, I ragged on him.
He always would come up.
And yes. I interviewed that guy. I kind of liked him, but he didn't do well in the UFC.
Yeah, and then for years though, he kept coming up on our show. Anyhow, Power Bar, Marc Barriault. I guess it's the play on his last name. I guess. Power Barriault, 16-9 with 1 no contest, 10 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted once, 5-8 in the UFC with 1 no contest. He's lost 3 straight. He's gone 2-3 over his last 5, 3-5 over his last 8. This could be a loser leaves town match. You would think it would have to be at this point, especially with Contender Series just on the horizon here. He's been knocked out in 2 straight fights. He's failed a drug test. Maybe he should get back on drugs. Used to fight at 205. Multi-regional champion, multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, get a merch, get a gear, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. 2014 pro MMA debut, an inch of height over Silva, better striking stats, more active landing strikes, and he's outstruck his opponents by 0.4 strikes per minute. He's at minus 145. Go.
I'm gonna go with an underdog for the first time.
Silva, really?
Yeah, and I don't like it necessarily, but like at first I was like, well, Power Bar will wrestle. And then I went back and I looked at like Power Bar's wrestling numbers and I was like, oh, maybe he won't wrestle. And then I was like, well, you could submit him. And then I was like, oh, he has one submission in his career.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, then he could knock him out. And then it was like, well, Bruno Silva's never been knocked out. And he fought Alex Pereira. So like how do I draw a path to victory here for every single time I went for a path to victory for Marc-André Barriault? I was like, oh no, he's probably not going to win that way. He's probably not going to win that way either. And like, he's been knocked out in 2 straight fights and he's fighting a guy who's got 20 knockouts. I mean, like, that's really all I need to hear, right? Is that like, we've got a guy who I'm having trouble figuring out how he's going to win this fight. And there is a very clear path for his underdog opponent to knock his block off. And I like Marc-André Barriault. He's one of the few Canadians I've backed all the time, other than you. And
you back me, thanks, bud.
I just can't see him not getting knocked out here. Bruno Silva hits too hard.
You know what? You sold me on this. I wasn't even thinking twice about this fight, but all that makes sense.
Because you were like, Bruno Silva sucks, but then you're like, but exactly. He doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah, Barriault has not been doing good, and he has been getting knocked out. So yeah.
And granted, I know we're gonna get comments in here. Like, it's against what Joe Pyfer knocked him out. Mm-hmm. Joe Pyfer hits like a truck. I understand, but like, remember that knockouts are and knockouts are cumulative, right? Like the damage done from Joe Pyfer is in this fight too.
Yep, I think Barriault is a better striker, but he doesn't hit like Silva hits. Right. So yeah,
he's a better technical. Okay. And maybe that's Maybe his path to victory is pitter patter for 15 minutes.
It's dangerous.
That's a dangerous game.
Yeah. No, I will. You sold me the underdog. It's a smart play, I think, on a dog here. So let's do it. We'll go down in flames together. Why not? We're to the main prelims now. 8 p.m. start time. ESPN. These are on. If you're in the United States, Navajo Stirling from Australia, New Zealand. It really should not be getting these mixed up all the time, but he's from New Zealand. Their flag is just far too similar. Ivan Erslan. He is not from New Zealand. Ivan Erslan, sorry. He is not from Australia either. I can tell you that much. He's from Croatia. Yes, he is from Croatia. Let's break her down. 3 5-minute rounds, 205. Erslan, 14-4 with 1 no contest, 10 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 0-1 in the UFC. Loss, win, loss, win, loss. So I guess he is due for a win. Used to fight up at heavyweight, 2015 pro MMA debut. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 0.4 strikes per minute. That's based off 1 fight, though. Better grappling stats than Stirling based off that 1 fight. He's at plus 250. Stirling 6-0 with 4 knockouts, 1-0 in the UFC, 1-0 in Contender Series. Multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our merch at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Used to fight at heavyweight as well. 1-0 in Muay Thai and won a championship in the 1 fight that he fought. What else? 0-1 in pro kickboxing. So he did lose something one time in one realm. 2 inches height, 7 inches of reach, 6 years younger than Erslan. Better striking stats, twice more active landing strikes. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 3.27 strikes per minute, minus 278. I'll take Stirling. Still young in his career, but this is the level of opponent he can beat, and it's the opponent who's going to play right along and have a striking battle with Stirling. And Stirling's more technical, way bigger, and is a knockout machine as well. So give me a Navajo Stirling.
Yeah, I don't agree with you that he's going to have a stand-up fight with him. I'm actually going to.
Oh, really? You think he's going to try to wrestle him?
I mean, he wrestled Ion Cuțelaba, and if you can wrestle Ion Cuțelaba to a split decision, who's to say you're going to stand in there and strike with a kickboxer? A kickboxer who got taken down 3 times by Tuka.
You're not picking Stirling,
I'm gonna say this is his prospect loss.
Okay, yep.
We haven't seen him fight anybody good, like nobody good, right? Like
Erslan's not good though.
I mean, but would you rather have a guy who's knocking out Tuka and whoever he beat before, somebody else terrible, or would you rather have the guy who went toe to toe with Ion Cuțelaba for 15 minutes? And like
Tuka sounds like a video game character. Yeah, like in Mario, there should be Tuka that you have to.
Yeah. Watch out for the Tuka. But yeah, like I think he's fought a higher level of competition already in the UFC, and he's only fought once, and he looked better. I mean, obviously Stirling's got the big KO power, but like being taken down 3 times by a guy who went 0-2 or 0-3 in the UFC and like regularly was getting knocked out. Like Tuka lost on road to the UFC too, granted against Zhang Mingyang, so I won't take too much away from him. But like, he's just a guy who hasn't really put anything together, in my opinion, and we don't know that Stirling can hold up against wrestling. I think he's going to get out wrestled in this one and is going to learn a lesson.
All right. It makes sense. I'm not agreeing with it, but it does make sense. I'm sure people are going to get mad at you at this.
Oh yeah, they hate. Hate, bring on the hate.
They hate when you take swings. Haters going to hate, as I've said before. Stealing a line from old Tay. All right, we're sticking actually with light heavyweights. Modestas Bukauskas, who did a very good interview with Mr. Gumby on the Top Turtle MMA podcast this week, kept calling you mate. So it's like he's Australian, Lithuanian, British. It's like he's all those wrapped in one. He has a Lithuanian flag beside him, but he has a British accent because he was he born and raised in
I don't know where he was officially born. I know both of his parents are from Lithuania, but he's lived the vast majority of his life in England.
He was born in Lithuania, it says, according to Tapology. So yes. Okay. And then he was raised in Buckinghamshire, England. All right. He's up against Jan Cuțelaba. He is from Moldova. Yes, Moldova. I should know that. He's fought so many times in the UFC, but don't get mad at me, Hulk. Don't Hulk out on me. This one pretty much
isn't that the flag you always mess up that John rags on you about?
I think so. No.
Yeah, because it's Belbeach's flag.
Romania.
Oh, it's Romania. Yeah, it's not Moldova.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. All right. This one's pretty much a pick-em, but the slight dog would be Bukauskas at this point, at least. The Baltic Gladiator, which makes it even more confusing about where he's from. He's 17-6, 10 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out 4 times, submitted once. 9-4 in the UFC over 2 stints. He's been much more successful this second go around in the UFC. He's won 2 straight and 6 of 7 overall. Both of his past 2 wins have come via finish. He's a 2-time Cage Warriors champion. Basically, anytime he's not in the UFC, he's a Cage Warriors champion. That's where you'll find him. Used to fight down at 185. 2015 Pro MMA debut. 2 inches height, 3 inches reach over Cuțelaba. He's has been outstruck in the UFC by 0.79 strikes per minute, and he's at -105. Isn't it surprising? Both these guys are the same age. You wouldn't guess that, really, would you? Cuțelaba seems so old.
I don't know. Bukauskas has been around for a minute.
Yeah. The Hulk has as well. We got a Gladiator versus the Hulk. This works as well. Nicknames work on this. I think that's basically how these matchmakers do it. Now that Joe Silva's gone, they just look for the nicknames. The Hulk is 19-10-1 with 1 no contest, 13 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted 4 times, 8-9-1 in the UFC. He's won 2 straight and 3 of 4. Sorry. He's won 2 straight and won 3 of 7. That's way worse. Did win his last bout, though, via submission. Used to fight at 265, 2012 Pro MMA debut. He's a Sambo champion. Striking and active striking stats in his favor. He's outstruck his opponents by 0.92 strikes per minute, -110. So who you got in UFC Apex main event?
It's not quite that high. I mean, like, it might be in a couple of with a
Cuțelaba is total main event UFC Apex style.
No.
If he wins this one, I guarantee he's going to be in a main event again.
Bukauskas is way closer to being a main event, and I'm going to go Bukauskas. Personally, I think Cuțelaba kind of has like this. I'm really good for the first couple of minutes as I'm like, burning through the little bit of fuel I've got in my tank, and then immediately after is cooked. Right, like he looks exhausted after he's done that. And Bukauskas just sort of feels like he can weather that storm. His wrestling defense is sharp enough. And he's shown in his last 2 fights, clearly something has clicked into higher gear in his last couple of fights where he's learned basically how to stuff the takedowns and hurt people and finish people. Cause for years he was winning fights, but like his only finish was, who was it? Was it Michaelitis who fell out of the cage that time because they opened the door? And like, that was his only finish for like a minute, in the UFC at least. And then these last 2 fights, I mean, clearly he's unlocked something different. And I think as soon as Jan Cuțelaba gets a little bit tired of here, he's going to make him pay for it. So give me Bukauskas, and I'll take him. I think playing the under on this one is probably the smart play.
I'm taking Bukauskas as well. This is one I flipped on fairly recently, but yeah, he's the way he's been finishing people, and he's definitely on his way up. It still seems, despite them being the same age. And
well, that's because he's training with Aspinall now. Like that's
exactly.
And that's a change in the last few fights. Training with just heavyweights in Tom Aspinall.
You can hear all about that where, Gumby?
At the Top Turtle MMA podcast.
Top Turtle MMA podcast, of course. I just heard about all that good stuff. All right, we're both in on Bukauskas here, and let me tell you about our last couple of sponsors. Then we will finish off with the rest of the prelims for you. Going to tell you about Rhythm, RITHMM. Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Building your own model is simple and easy. Rhythm knows you'll love it. That's why they include a 7-day free trial. Check out the Al Horford projections there, and also check out the amazing deals Rhythm has going on right now. 25% off monthly subscription with promo code SGPN25 and 50% off annual subscriptions with promo code SGPN50. So that's RITHMM for Rhythm, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. And you can get a 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM. And we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, plus props for every game. For the true degens, the MyBookie money bag. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Once again, Al Horford prop lines is what you're going to want to play there. You can play some UFC too if you choose. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code MMA, SGPN, for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code MMA, SGPN. Right, 2 fights left. One of these we already discussed in the intro. It would be a women's flyweight bout. Jessica Andrade from Brazil versus Jasmine Jasudavicius from Canada, of course. 3 5-minute rounds, 125. Basically, she only fights in Canada at this point. It seems to be the way the UFC is rolling with her, which is probably smart. All right, we'll tell you about Andrade first. Bate Estasa. Gumby?
Power bomb?
Yes, I believe you're right. Not power bar. 26-13. 10 knockouts, 8
pile driver.
Pile driver, right, yes. It was a wrestling move.
I knew it was a wrestling move, but I couldn't remember which one.
26-13, 10 knockouts, 8 submissions. She's been knocked out 5 times, submitted 4 times. 17-11 in the UFC. That's a lot of fights. Used to be the strawweight champion of the world for 1 fight, I believe. 2-1 over her last 3, 2-4 over her last 6. She lost her last bout. Used to fight at 115 and 135. 2011 Pro MMA debut. 2 years younger than Jasudavicius. Another one. Surprising, right? Jasudavicius is the one on the rise, but she's the older one. Better striking stats and more active lightning strikes than Jasudavicius. She's outstruck her opponents by 0.93 strikes per minute plus 250. All right. Jazz is 13-3. 2 knockouts, 3 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 7-2 in the UFC. She's won 4 straight and 6 of 7. She also used to fight down and up a weight class, 115, 135. 1-0 in contender series, 6 inches of height, 6 inches of reach over Andrade. Better grappling stats than Andrade. She outstruck her opponents by 0.04 strikes per minute, minus 298. Quite disappointed by the number here. And it's getting wider, but give me Jasmine. Andrade just seems to be fighting to make money at this point. She really, I think, I don't know if she admitted it or not, but that seems to be what she's up to at this point. Way more wear and tear on her. And Jasmine just gets in your face and breaks it to you. I think she's going to be a grappler. And she's one of those people who seems to really thrive off the home crowd as well. So give me Jazz here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with her as well. I think, too, just like seeing how rough Jessica Andrade had it. She had that 3-fight run where she got finished 3 fights in a row.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being Erin Blanchfield. And I just remember her looking completely out of her element on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look like she knew what she was doing there. She looked a little bit better in this Natalia Silva fight. But the fact that she's been beat 3 times in a row like this was beat 3 times in a row like that. And then I think she scored a couple of wins and then got beat up again. It really does kind of feel like you said, she's fighting for money. She's still got that right hand that she can uncork and knock somebody out, which is maybe why I'd be a little hesitant on throwing Jasudavicius in a lot of parlays. There is the chance she just eats a right hand and goes to sleep. But I think she'll probably fight smart behind her jab. And anytime Andrade gets in close, Jazz's wrestling has looked really good as of late. Her top control looks excellent. She punishes you when she's down there. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if we saw a TKO out of her here on the mat. So
nice.
Yeah, give me Jasudavicius.
Yeah, ground and pound for sure. Yeah, she's quite vicious. It's not like she's not one of those lay and pray type of fighters, that's for sure. So, all right, Jasmine is both her pick. Now we're going to talk about one of her teammates. That would be Mike Malott from Canada. Obviously, Charles Radtke. You may ask, who's Charles Radtke? I'll let you know in a second. He's from the United States of America. Charles Radtke is Chuck Buffalo, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. He's 10-4, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, 3-1 in the UFC, which I mentioned to Gumby off air. He's 3-1 in the UFC, Gumby. He's won 7 of 8. TKO win in his last bout. Regional champ, 0-1 in Bellator. Used to fight at 155. 2012 Pro MMA debut, 0-1 in pro grappling. Better striking stats than Malott. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.35 strikes per minute. He's at plus 160. Proper Mike Malott, 11-2-1, 4 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 4-1 in the UFC, 7-1 over his last 8, including winning his last bout. So these guys have very similar records. 1-0 on Contender Series. He's fought at 155 at 145. He's a regional champ. He's missed weight before at 145, but he's way up there in weight now, so don't worry about that. He fought in Bellator as well. Got a draw. Oh, RIP Bellator. I forgot to say that. 0-1 World Series of Fighting. 2011 Pro MMA debut. 4 inches of height, an inch of reach over Radtke. A year younger. More active landing strikes than Radtke. Better grappling stats than Radtke. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 0.79 strikes per minute. Minus 175. A very long resume. All right, Gumby, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go Mike Malott. For me, I think the big piece of this is that, like, we've pretty much just seen Chuck Buffalo win some of these fights by throwing a big bomb and it happening to be against somebody who shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. No offense to Gilbert Urbina, but he kind of took that short notice fight and maybe shouldn't have been in there. That was after losing on the Ultimate Fighter finale, and then they gave him one more fight and lost to Chuck Buffalo. Then we got the who'd he beat? Matt Semmelsberger, who was holding on by a thread at that point in time. Is being able to be in the UFC. So I just think he's gotten away with a lot of power, but isn't that what Mike Malott's good at? Like, he hurts people and subs them, or just hurts people. I mean,
yep.
He's been good with the hands, with the exception of gassing himself out against Neil Magny, which I kind of don't think he's going to do again. He's been pretty damn good. I mean, he's beaten good fighters in there. Adam Fugit wound up, that win actually aged pretty well for him. He beat Trevin Giles, who's, put together certainly a better resume than a lot of the guys that Radtke's fought. I just think Malott's equally as dangerous, but more diverse in the ways that he's dangerous. And then in addition to that too, I think he's sharper. He's just going to be cleaner with his strikes, right? Whereas Chuck Buffalo is just unleashing hell. And I don't know that it'll work here against a proper fighter.
Exactly. I'm taking proper Mike as well. He's finished everyone except one. He's 10 finishes in 11 fights. So Malott inside the distance, perhaps, Gumby. If you're gonna play
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. If you're going to play it, I think it pays 1 plus 130. So it's not a massive one, but because you don't really know whether he's going to bag and tag the guy or actually finish.
I have some thoughts on that. You might be able to hear them tomorrow. Yeah.
Good. All right. Let's give you a recap and then we'll get to tomorrow, shall we? We both have Malott. We both have Jasudavicius. We both have Bukauskas. I have Stirling. You have Erslan, one of your you're counting out a prospect loss there. We both have Silva, both have Lee, we both have Almakhan. So it's just the one that we disagreed on this episode. All right, you can get more of us, because of course you want more of us, in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. YouTube comments are obviously open. Just MMA Upside is taking full advantage of that. That's, of course, the MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, please, and thanks. You can hit us up on the old Twitter X at SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. Get into my Substack. Enter my free UFC Pick'em contest at moneymma.substack.com. We talked about it already. Gummy's got another podcast called the Top Turtle Podcast. Modestas Bukauskas is on it, and someone we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Ayman Zahabi, getting ready for his fight with Jose Aldo.
Yeah, so check that out. Top Turtle MMA Podcast, wherever fine podcasts are served. And of course, MMA Gambling, Sports Gambling Podcast is where we're at. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store for your merch, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. You get some bonus content. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow. We got Powerbomb, Gumby Vreeland, and what should my name be? The Canadian Gladiator, Jeff Fox. We'll talk to you then.